Hello and welcome to Vlogmas. This is at least the 5th time I'm recording this. As I think it's obvious, I got a new microphone and I brilliantly did not turn the microphone on when I made this original video. So this is me talking over a voiceover, the original video that I made. So I'm sorry that you're not going to get all that ASMR clicking and clacking and rustling of the papers and all that other stuff. But that was the first time, and then I realized that there was no sound. So I tried to do a voiceover and didn't realize that there's a time limit a voiceover, so I just kept yapping through the entire thing, and it didn't record because it was longer than the voiceover limit. And then I tried it again, and again I did not turn on the microphone, and I tried it again, and the microphone was out of power, and now I'm trying it again. Additionally, the original video is actually privated, which I do from time to time. I'm not sure how many videos I've taken down, and actually I'm considering all those walk and talk in the middle of the night with the cat videos. I'm considering taking those down too, because they're at night. You can't see anything. I actually can't do live videos right now. YouTube changes the rules constantly, and right now I don't have enough subscribers to be able to go live. Okay, whatever. But you know, some people keep vlog style videos up forever, but they're also being monetized. So if somebody goes back and just happens to see a video from 12 years ago or something, they're making money on that. Mine are not. Again, I'm repeating myself. So I don't really see the point in having them up. So someday I'll probably take those all down too. But today's topic, the 4th most popular video that I have made, is a description of my first experience, my first session doing DBT. DBT, Dialectic Behavioral Therapy, was designed by and for people with borderline personality disorder, and I'm pretty sure that's why I took it down, because the comments were probably out of control. You know, because I mean, I've got videos about it that I think are still up, in general, talking about untreated borderline, which if you're doing DBT, that means you're in the process of being treated, so you are not treated yet. And if you're interested as a person with borderline personality disorder in learning what a first session of DBT is like, then you're still not being treated, and there's a huge difference. Like I said, I was in the classes. There's a huge difference between somebody who is treated or not treated with borderline personality disorder, and the not untreated ones are kind of difficult to deal with. So I'm sure that's why I had to take that one down. Anyway, I'm going to stop this before I run out of space. Hopefully at some point I'll actually be able to get the session working, and hopefully this video will actually be able to see the light of day. And probably there was no time difference there while I reset the voiceover session. Okay, so DBT normally is split into 2 parts. There is a group session where you learn the therapy and you practice it. And then there is a second session that is a private one-on-one therapy with one of the people who are leading the class, so they know what's going on, where you talk about your personal problems and anything that came up in the DBT class. And there are certain rules that are supposed to be taken care of in a DBT class, which is one, you're not supposed to go over your personal information, like what's happening right now, because I mean, if you are an untreated borderline, there's probably some crazy stuff going on in your life, and you don't need to put that on other people who are also going through things and stressing them out. The other thing is that you're supposed to be on time to all meetings. These are like basic. And the other thing is that you are not supposed to be on substances during the sessions. The DBT class that I had, now first of all, my therapist at the time recommended it, and she was just like done with me, because she was the type of therapist that wanted to see progression. And when you have avoidant personality disorder, there really isn't progression. There's learning to cope, but there's no going forward. Because I was in my 30s, it's set, it's not changing, and it was really bumming her out. So she wanted me to move on. And so she recommended DBT. I mean, it works for people with borderline. That's a personality disorder. Why shouldn't it work for people with avoidant personality disorder? I'll go over that in a second. But the other thing was that this particular group, for insurance, they had to have at least 6 participants per class. And they had a really hard time keeping the participants, like the number they needed. Probably because the people who were running it really were not great at their job. So, first of all, group sessions for somebody with avoidant personality disorder, not cool, really. Secondly, they were constantly having new people in and out and in and out and in and out on that. There's new people, and I mean, these are very personal, intimate sessions that you're going through. I mean, even if you're not talking out loud about what was required of you, you're feeling it, you're going through it, it's in your head, and you're around strangers. It's unbelievably stressful. The other thing is that there's this homework component, which on one hand is you basically keeping like a little diary of how your emotions are at certain points during the day, so that you can track it and see if there's anything that you're doing that's making it better or worse. It makes perfect sense to me. But there are other homework sessions, things like call a friend and go to a movie. And it's like, what friends? What friends? You know, because people with borderline their big concern is having people around them and not being abandoned. So they've got lots of people that they could call on, relatively speaking, compared to someone with avoidant personality disorder. Maybe they burn people out and they only have a handful left, but those people they've got as tight as they possibly can be in their life. Whereas people with avoidant personality disorder, I mean, yeah, right. I mean, I think the closest person I could have called to go to a movie lived about literally 800 miles away at the time. Now, additionally, the one-on-one sessions were supposed to be going over our personal issues. But I don't know. I mean, the thing with therapists is there are therapists that you just don't click with. And that's fine. That's why you get a different therapist. I know that sounds horrifying to somebody with avoidant personality disorder. They want to be one and done and not to have to like interview therapists and go through them, but you really have to do that. The therapist I had, and again, there's a reason why they had a problem keeping people in these sessions. Literally, I would go in, and I mean, the insurance was paying for an entire hour with this person. She would go in there, she would take my little booklet of the, we would put a number like 1 to 5 of how we were doing. She would sit and read that for over 10 minutes in silence and just look at this stupid little booklet. I mean, I'm telling you, I could scan it and see, oh, okay, well, you have a couple of 1s here, you have a couple of 5s here, maybe we'll talk about this or something. No, she would silence, read this little booklet to herself, and then look at me and go, oh, okay, well, I think you had a good week. It wouldn't matter, you know, if I had, I don't even remember which is which, but I mean, the extremes were 1 and 5. One week I might have all 1s, the next week all 5s, and she would have the exact same word for word answer. And we did absolutely nothing as far as going over therapy at all, like for my personal self, which was part of it. I mean, it was a requirement. It was not happening. And sometimes, usually what she would do is just repeat whatever we were going through in the actual group sessions, which she probably thought was necessary because they were chaotic. You know, if you had somebody that was coming in who was clearly high as a kite and who would then like go off talking about, I don't know, what their roommate had done and what was happening with their job or something, and like, so really we weren't going over what we were supposed to be going over in the sessions. So she would basically try to recap in the therapy sessions, and I had no therapy at all. So I was going through this, I mean, it's hard for me to call it traumatic, but it was by definition a traumatic experience of being in these therapy group sessions and listening to this stuff and just being there, just being in a room with the same people. Like this super, I'm sorry for the intimate description because it might be misconstrued, but seriously, I mean, it was like super personal, let's call it that. Sessions where you're being very introspective and ruminating and everything else in front of and around other people and asked to participate. I mean, it was a horrible experience for somebody with avoidant personality disorder. DBT itself, I think, is great. I think that what you learn in it is really tremendous, and it's like one of those things that they should probably teach, you know, in like public school, the way that I still think they should teach like finances, personal finances should be taught in high school. Why isn't it? Things like mindfulness, which, by the way, has multiple meanings now. Mindfulness, what it's taught in DBT is basically grounding, which is that if you're like stuck in your head and you're ruminating or anticipating what people are thinking, etc., you know what I'm talking about. If you have avoidant personality disorder, it basically pulls you out of your head so that you can break that cycle and catch a breath and then be able to make a decision about how you're going to function instead of just being caught up in that. So again, it's grounding. It's really good to learn. However, DBT group sessions are maybe not the place to learn it. Yeah. So as far as, and I suppose, I mean, the other literal half of what I talked about so far in these Vlogmas is me looking at the little book and digging through all the pieces and trying to fit them together and then putting them together and realizing I'm not putting them together in the right order and then speculating on what exactly it is I'm doing. I actually, when I'm doing this voiceover, I can't see the video. I can see the length. I know how much more I need to talk to cover the video, but I can't actually see what the video is. Brilliant, I know. Clearly, I'm not using the best program. I think the program's not bad, but not the most perfect of programs. Anyway, so pretend I'm doing all that too, which is probably why I'm about halfway through the video and I'm like, yeah, isn't that what I said? Yeah, that's probably what I said 5 or 6 times previously about being in that class. So anyway, so sorry it's not syncing up at all. I'm sure that it's a little disorienting to see all this and not have any sound at all of me manipulating the pieces. I'll do better going forward to make sure that the microphone's actually turned on. Anyway, so going forward, about the DBT sessions, and again, it really was a massive clash with the therapist and how they were running their sessions. And there are two. There's always two, because if somebody really has an absolute breakdown, they can pull them, and they would pull them out of the session, let the other person continue, and they would like talk to them in the hallway or something, or talk to them in another room, try to calm them down to bring them back in. I never had anybody take me out like that, thank God, because it would have been feeling like being taken out. So they always have two people. I mean, they have all these safety things in place. Again, I wonder, I bet that somewhere, somebody has DBT session training or something online. And I'd almost say, as a birthday present to yourself, look it up. I know they have workbooks. I don't think it quite works as well in the workbook, because again, you'll get caught up in the, oh, this is my homework to have a conversation with. I'm like, what? I can't have a conversation with somebody. Who can I have a conversation with that's not going to be like sort of personally invested in maintaining my miscommunication style? Because again, the people in your life get used to you acting like an avoidant, and even if they're your best champion, it's still to their advantage for you to be a little avoidant, or they wouldn't be with you in the first place, you know. And it's really hard for people to accept change. So yeah, these conversations are difficult. Like, literally, DBT will teach you how to communicate with people in a way that helps you get what you need, and communicates effectively, safely, without flying off the handle or making threats or anything like that, so that hopefully both people can get the most they can out of the conversation. But that first video that I made, the one that I haven't decided if I'm going to link it or not. I mean, the plan of this was that I would link all the videos that I'm referring to in the description. Again, not that I really think that, oh, it'd be great if you watch them, because it doesn't really matter, because these are not monetized. But I know that, you know, I'm pretty distracted when I'm making Vlogmas videos, because I'm trying to do something else, and it's really hard actually to multitask, as I'm sure you know. So, I mean, that's part of the reason I can do it, is because I'm not like, oh my goodness, somebody's listening to what I'm saying, and it's not the first thing in like taking up my mind that I'm, you know, thinking of, oh God, you know, there's a reason I'm not doing these. But I'm sure they're really pretty annoying to listen to, because I'm jumping all over the place and I'm not being succinct and etc. So the original videos that I made, well, first of all, they have a lot of information, and two, they're probably less annoying to listen to, and not being broken up with this, oh, let's find this little piece or whatever. But that video that I had privated, I don't know if I'm gonna link it, because it was kind of raw. you know, sometimes I get pretty raw in those, in the videos, and whatever. If I didn't think it was okay, I wouldn't put it up. But again, see, I'm shutting up now because I know what's going to happen. If this, they're searchable videos, and if somebody sees what this topic is, they're going to come on, and then they're going to be like, well, how come I'm not talking about the experience of somebody who has borderline personality disorder? I'm like, well, guess what? This is not a channel about borderline personality disorder. This is a channel about avoidant personality disorder. And borderlines and avoidance kind of click together like magnets. And I've talked about this before. It's because borderline people need somebody who's not going to abandon them. And avoidant people can't quit people easily unless there has, been a final straw that is set on top of a massive, huge mountain of steaming, rotting, vile pieces of straw that have been put there again and again and again, and whoever has been putting them there hasn't either cared or noticed the effect that they're having until it's gotten to the point where it's just like, okay, that's it, snap, gone, done. And so they have meaning avoidant people, have a huge capacity for taking on basically steaming piles of shit from somebody else. And that's what borderline people, untreated borderlines, do that. So, I just, couldn't take it. There's a point where you just can't take it. Because I don't need to justify anything that I say on my channel, and I don't have to give equal, voice to both sides. And if, I call a spade, and I'm sorry, it doesn't really matter why you're being abusive. If you're abusive, you're abusive. And untreated borderlines, by nature, are abusive. I cannot tell you how many therapists that I have known and dealt with who are just like, no, absolutely not. I will not deal with them. Maybe I'll have 1 or 2 clients. That's it. That's my max that I can deal with. I can't cope with it. Well, guess what? I'm not a therapist. And I don't need to deal with untreated borderline. So do I want to open up that can of worms again? Well, I don't know. I doubt it. To be frank, I doubt it. So anyway, I'm getting near the end of this video, and it looks like these voiceovers are actually taking. And again, I'm really sorry if they sound freaky. Actually, the entire series for Vlogmas might sound freaky. I don't know, because I don't really enjoy looking at myself or listening to myself at all. That's why I generally don't have, in any way, shape, or form, edited videos, because it's like cringe to see and hear myself. And I bet you can kind of relate. Actually, that would be wild if there was somebody out there who was like truly like diagnosed avoidant, not a borderline self-diagnosed as avoidant, but a true person with avoidant personality disorder who was like constantly putting up selfies. That'd be wild and awesome. Because I do have a theory that there are people who are more extroverted than you would imagine. Introversion is not a part of the diagnosis for avoidant personality disorder, although it, pretty often aligns. But anybody could be avoidant, including somebody who is extroverted. So I think that would be a form of extroversion. I think, and you probably agree, I make these videos. I've made these videos for years. I think I'm more extroverted than most people who have avoidant personality disorder. And that's probably my fatal flaw, because then people think that I would be interested in having anything to do with them, and then all of a sudden they run into the massive wall that I put up against other people, and they're like, what the hell is going on here? Anyway, that was one of the big issues I had at DBT, was that I couldn't fully participate in what was going on because I had that wall, and there's no way that I could breach it, and there was no way that they could teach me how, and they assumed that it didn't exist because they're dealing with people who have no walls. As untreated borderline, they not only don't put up any walls, but sort of like make everything sort of in a multi-dimensional sort of jumping into other people's spaces and in multiple directions at that. I mean, I'm coming up with a bizarre, string theory, physics type analogy, but seriously, yeah, that's what they do. Not only do they not have the walls, but they create spaces that never existed and insist that people inhabit them. And so it is so opposite of anything comfortable if you have avoidant personality disorder to be in that situation, that although you learn some tremendous things that really will make your life better, the format that they teach it really is not a good fit for somebody with avoidant personality disorder. So yeah, and in a nutshell, that's where I think I'm going to end this. So sorry if there's like a gap where I'm not speaking, but I'm putting music on, so you can listen to the music until the end of the video. Bye.